Hi and welcome to the My Future Business Show. My name's Rick Nusky and today I'm sitting here with Cletus R. Bulak. Have I said that right? Is it just Clete?
Hey, I answer to anything. But you did a pretty good job.
Excellent. It's a good start. So, as our audience know, Clete, we have a very strong focus on business systems, building relationships in business. And one of the things we're going to be talking about with Clay today is human relations and how important they are to you as a parent, how important they are in your business relationships and your friends. So we're going to cover off a whole range of topics here today and the 4 factors that are actually going to come into play. So instead of me rambling on and telling you all the good juice, all the good goss before I give Clayton an opportunity, how about we open up, Clayton, and get you to share with us the 4 factors that are going to come into play with human relations?
Well, levels of openness and trust are very important. Interpersonal communications are very important.
Mm-hmm.
How you deal with conflicts, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget, what did I say was the 4th one?
Look, there's levels, if I recall, levels of openness and trust, how the 9 forms of power are used to control others.
Oh, yeah, the 9 forms of power.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
The 9 forms of power are generic to anybody. You want to start with that?
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds great.
Okay. The other one we want to talk about after that is why do people behave the way they do?
Mm-hmm.
There are 5 basic needs that determine that. So maybe let's start with the 9 forms of power and move to that.
Yeah, sure, and absolutely.
How long do we have?
We have as long as you would like, my friend.
Okay, Rick. Okay. I have been a student of leadership and power, control, whatever, ever since my doctoral dissertation back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And the original power typology was 5 forms of power. And they were expertise, I'm having a senior moment here. I'll go with my 9. I have broadened the 5 forms of power, the original 5 forms.
Mm-hmm.
I start with information. Information is a form of power. You agree?
I would agree with that.
That's what we're doing right now.
Mm.
Okay. Expertise, where you demonstrate how to do something, is a form of power. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I ask you to do something and you like me, you do it because you like me, right?
Receptive.
That's personality. Or it was originally called referent.
Mm-hmm.
Then I came up with this other one that I have never seen in the literature anywhere. It's called ego power.
Ego power.
Do you ever stroke egos, Rick?
Not often.
But when you do, does it work?
Yeah. Look, if there's something that is mutually beneficial for us, and then I will certainly.
Yeah, you say
position that person to feel good about themselves. Absolutely.
You did such a wonderful job with this last time. How about giving me a hand?
Yeah.
You stroke somebody's ego, and they say, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll help you out." Mm-hmm. And then the 5th form of power is called moral power. Mm-hmm. Are you a parent, Rick?
Yes.
Do you have rules in your house?
Yes.
And that's what we call moral power. Mm-hmm. The kids know what you expect, right?
Generally.
And when they don't do it, you remind them, right?
Consequences.
That is moral power.
Right.
In all organizations, in all businesses, in all schools, mm-hmm. people lay out the ground rules or the handbook of rules or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's called moral power. It's what everybody is expected to do in that organization. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Those are forms of power we call information, expertise, personality, ego, and moral power. Now, the crazy thing about these forms of power, we call these freeing forms of power. When you use them, the subordinate or the people you're talking to, they're free to change or do it because you're not making them do it. Moral power, when you say, hey, don't you know what the rules are? They say, oh, yeah, I remember. And they change, not because they have to, but because they choose
to. Yeah, they choose to, yep.
Ego power, they choose to do it because you stroke their ego. On personality, they do it because they like you. On expertise, they like the way you did that, and they say, yeah, I can do that. And information, what we're doing right now, they hear it and they say, wow, that's impressive. Yeah, those 5 freeing forms of power. I've used those, all of them, but I never thought about them before. Then you get to the 4 controlling forms of power. When you're a leader, a parent, or any person in charge of something, if you're in control, the controlling forms of power are at your beck and call. If you don't use them, you lose them. Okay. Here's how that goes. I'll use a teacher. I'll use a parent as an example because you've probably got more parents listening to your program than teachers. But let's say mom and dad have got 3 kids, okay?
Yep.
One of the kids is misbehaving. All right. Mom has position power because she's the mom, right? She says, hey, I don't like the way you did that. You straighten up or you aren't going to get to watch TV anymore. And the kid says, what do you mean? I didn't do anything wrong. Yes, you did. Now, don't do that again if you want to watch TV. She uses her position power. And she uses reward and coercion power. Reward is if you don't do this, you'll get to watch TV. If you do it, you won't get to watch TV. Okay?
Yep.
You understand? Position, reward, and coercion power, right?
Yep.
That makes sense to you?
Certainly does.
Okay. Well, there's another form of controlling power. Controlling form of power. It's called connection power. You ever heard of it?
No, I've not.
Okay. Well, what if mom said, hey, now, I tell you what, when your dad comes home, I'm going to tell him what you did. So dad comes home, mom goes to dad and says, you know what your son did today? He did this, da, 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 da. And dad says, well, what's so wrong with that? That's something I did when I was a kid. You mean you think this is okay? Dad says, well, I don't see it's a big deal. Why don't we just let it go? So dad doesn't step in and discipline the kid. What happens to mom's position, reward, and coercion power?
She's lost the lot.
Yeah, big time.
And I see this playing out every day, It's
Yeah. Well, if you think of President Obama, back when he was the president, he had lost connection power with Congress. They didn't support him.
Yeah.
So his ability to use position, reward, and coercion power were reduced considerably. Now, when you get to President Trump, well, that's another story. He is going to Congress right now, today, to try to get his tax proposal cleared. So his connection power with 4 or 5 or 6 senators, and McCain and Kroger and a few others, are suspect. So when without his connection power with them,
Mm-hmm.
he loses his ability with position, reward, and coercion power. It's a fascinating concept, the 9 forms of power,
Absolutely.
and how they are used to control people, because when in leadership, your role is to motivate people to do what they're supposed to do or what you want them to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you use all 9 forms of power. Now, most people have not thought about the 9 forms of power. They run it the way they always do with their personality. Trump, I'm sure, has never thought about the 9 forms of power. He uses reward and coercion power considerably.
Mm-hmm.
Coercion power is, the latest use of coercion power was Pocahontas.
Yes.
He uses that, but he also flatters people. So he rewards a lot of people. He's a very sophisticated guy. I admire him in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
He is very complicated because you never know what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, 9 forms of power he uses a lot. He uses all 9 of them in one way or another. He strokes egos. He uses moral power a lot. He's a very interesting fellow. What do you think about all this?
Oh, I think it's very interesting. I think from if you frame it this way, always trying to tie it back, Clayt, to those who are listening, which is a typical entrepreneurial set and parental set. And I often think to myself, well, I live these things day to day as a parent, but I don't necessarily intellectualize them as you have communicated to us today, which I think is very
Mm-hmm.
useful, because you can then take it away and know that there's I have a lot of conversations with marketers, and they talk about this and this the ability to psychologically impact or get someone to make a decision that to buy a product, for example.
Yeah.
You can use this for good and for evil. So I think that's a really important part to all this. Would that be a fair statement?
That's a very fair statement.
Mm-hmm.
Your listeners out there, every day, anybody who's in a leadership position is trying to motivate somebody to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to use one of the 9 forms of power. They probably have not thought about the 9 forms of power. I usually start with my graduate students in leadership courses. I ask them to start with the freeing forms. Use information, demonstrate how to do it with expertise, or send them to somebody who knows how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do it, just ask them.
Yeah.
Stroke their egos and put in moral power has to be in place
Mm-hmm.
in any organization. And then when things don't go the way they're supposed to go, you have to take control back. The secret to leadership is to give control to subordinates.
Mm-hmm.
With the 5 freeing forms of power, give control to them and let them decide whether they want to do it or not. And if they don't do it, you take control back.
So as a leader of a organization, let's say,
leader.
or a parent or whatever, you can...
You cannot give...
Yep.
You cannot give up control or you lose your leadership. The typical, if you walk into Walmart and you'll see parents who have given control, give up control.
Mm.
My suggestion to parents listening to this organization is there is a conflict management with your kids. You always get into conflicts. And that's a whole nother subject. Maybe we have time to get into how do you deal with conflicts with your kids.
Yeah, look, we typically keep the show to under an hour, and I think if at all possible, I'd like to invite you back, because I don't think we're going to be able to cover all of this rich content in today's call. Would that be okay?
Hey, whatever you need, Rick.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's move to the 5 basic needs of all humans.
Yep.
Okay. Philosophers for centuries have discussed why do people behave the way they do?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they behave the way they do? That's what they've discussed for centuries. And going back into the 18th, 17th, 18th, the first philosopher came up with the first basic need. The first basic need, they said, was people behave the way they do because they want to live. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Survival.
Who wants to die? Not many. 1% of the population. 1% of the population commits suicide, but basically everybody else wants to live, right? Okay. The second philosopher came up with, and we're talking early to mid 19th century. You can get on the web and look this up.
Yep.
Said, people behave the way they do because they want to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what is life with no happiness, huh?
Drudgery.
Yeah, drudgery. It's no good. So yeah, I buy that one.
Yeah.
I buy life. People behave the way they do because they want to be alive. They want to be happy. Nietzsche, late 19th century, famous philosopher, an atheist too, by the way. But he is a famous philosopher. He says, yeah, I buy that life and happiness bit, but there's more to it than that. It's power. It's power. He says, people want power. Well, with power, you get control. You know, a lot of the great literature way back then, Moby Dick, The Heart of Darkness, Albert Camus, it's all about power. And the message is, man given ultimate power corrupts. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. It seems to me of the last decade, at least, this push for power and control seems omnipresent in society at all levels.
Yeah, well, just look at Congress. Look at Congress. Look at North Korea. Look at Russia. Look at China. Power. It's all about power and control. Who controls who?
Yeah.
Look at Syria. Look at the Middle East. Look at all the countries. Look at Venezuela. It's all about control. Who controls who?
I often think about...
It's always, you cannot control without using one of the 9 forms of power. Of course, coercion is the form of power that's used most by most leaders. If you look at Syria, Assad, he kills people. You look at North Korea, kills people, coercion. And on with, and of course, we can't forget our good President Trump, because when he comes down on people, he punishes them in one way or another. So you've got this third basic need, which is control. Okay? And if you look at the web, bullying behavior is rampant in most schools.
Trolling.
Roughly 10% of all students are bullied in our schools. Control is the big factor with the bully. The bully has to control the victim. The victim has no control. Well, when the victim has no control, and that's a basic need, what's the victim going to do? The victim has to do something to get control back. All people have different levels of control. Some people are control freaks, and other people are willing to let others control. So control is a need that varies between people, from high control freaks to those who will let other people control them. The victim in bullying behavior has to get control back. How are they going to do it? They can join a gang. They can take alcohol. They can take drugs, temporary control. They can get a gun and go back to school and shoot somebody. They can commit suicide. But one way or another, the victim is going to get their control need met.
That's really interesting.
I do a lot of talks on bullying behavior if you want to have me back on
Oh,
that.
absolutely. We could spend a
So
couple
that's
hours on
the
that.
third need. Control is the third need.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the fourth need. Okay. It's called caring. If you look at the research on nurture of babies who are cared for and babies who are not cared for,
Mm-hmm.
caring is a fourth basic need. Nick, just imagine that you woke up one morning and realized that nobody cared about you. How would you feel about that?
Devastated.
Nobody cares about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. Devastating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. What about kids who go to school every day believing the teacher doesn't care about them? What about kids who go to school every day believing the other kids don't care about them?
Just reinforces, doesn't it? Day by day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And compounds.
What about kids? What about kids who think their parents don't care about them?
Mm.
And that is very true, because with the society we have today, with the single parents and so forth, they're so busy working, trying to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
They don't provide a caring environment for their kids at home, and many kids believe their parents don't care.
Mm.
I've got 5 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and there are times when they think I don't care about them. And I have to put forth effort to show them that I really do care.
Mm.
So that's a fourth basic need, okay?
Yep.
Then come to the fifth one, which is very important. And Dr. Oz, Rick Warren, the 7 purposes. What if life with no purpose is no life? You know, at my age, at 79,
Mm-hmm.
my purpose is to change schools.
Yep.
To make them a better place for students to go to school. So I have a purpose in my life, and I'm dedicated to that.
That's a massive purpose.
And
A global one.
The other one is, you know, what I'm doing on talk shows tonight is I want to convince people that human relations is where it's all at.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with our schools is not curriculum. It's not the principals and not the teachers. It's the human relations that exist between the teachers and the administration and the board, between the teachers and the students. If the human relations are not there, the kids are not going to be motivated because the 5 basic needs aren't being met.
Yeah.
You don't have the caring, you don't have the control, you don't have the happiness, and you have some fear about kids' safety because of the bullying behavior that goes on. And then when most kids go to school, they don't have a purpose. I've interviewed thousands and thousands of kids in the state of West Virginia when I got the contract to evaluate every school district in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, what do you like about school? They said, going home, recess. I said, you don't like school? They said, no,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like school. If I didn't have to go, I wouldn't go.
Mm.
Well, why do you go? Well, because I have to. So you got 50% of the kids going to school for one reason only. They have to go. Then you got the other 50% who are going there because they want to be doctors, lawyers, you know, whatever, go to college and be successful in the world. Now, those kids are doing well. But why in the world do we have all these kids who have no reason for going to school?
Mm.
Here it is. Half the kids in our schools today have no reason for going to school, no purpose. They believe the teacher doesn't care. They believe the other kids don't care. They have no control because they're told what the rules are.
Mm-hmm.
They obey them. They get sent to the office or punished. They're not happy. And 10 to 20% are scared.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
How are these kids going to learn? They're not.
Mm.
That's why our test scores are down. So the school systems today have to address the 5 basic needs of all kids, but the teachers are the same way. The teachers' needs aren't being met. They're being controlled by the top administration, by central office, by state laws. They can't teach the way they want to teach.
It's hierarchical, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Top-down
So
control.
in years 3 to 5, we lose 30 to 40% of our teachers because they can't take it anymore.
Mm.
They're stressed out. It's just a waste of human resources. Then you get, okay, how much time we got left, Rick?
Mate, don't even concern yourself with that. This is a great call, very enlightening, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us.
Well, we could move to conflict.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is very relevant.
Which is part of life, isn't it?
Yes.
Let's start with Donald Trump and Obama's conflict management style. You want to go there?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. There are 5 conflict management styles, 5 ways to deal with conflict. Each one has a win or a lose, okay? There is a win-win. Both parties win. The art of the deal, Trump's art of the deal, is part of his win-win. It's called the collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Both parties get together, and believe me, what's going on in Congress right now is collaboration. But I don't think there's a win-win.
No?
I really think there's a win-win in this tax plan. There's a lose-lose. So we got compromise. The parties have to compromise in order to get the deal done.
Yep.
So each one has to lose something to get the other party to agree. And they've got to lose something to get the other party to agree. So you got all these things going on out there about, what one state's going to get versus what one state's going to get, what the large business is going to get, what small business is going to get. So compromise is going to be what's going on with the tax deal in Congress right now. It's going to be lose-lose.
Mm.
Trump ain't going to get everything he wants. No way.
No.
Because he's got 6 or 7 senators who are on the fringe. Okay. So that's 2 of the conflict management styles. Collaborate and compromise.
Yep.
A style that Trump likes to use a lot. I'm having a senior moment here. Competitive. I win, you lose.
You lose. Attributable.
Yeah. With his colleagues, if you look at what he did during the election debates,
mm-hmm.
It was I win, you lose. The names he gave, the latest name was Pocahontas to Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
He comes up with these things, I win, you lose.
Mm.
So that's his preferred style, really, competitive. I win, you lose.
Mm.
Then you go to accommodate. Accommodate is I lose, you win. I've not seen him use that one.
A bit of a reverse psychology almost.
Yeah. But Obama used that a lot.
Mm. Different people, different gameplay.
With the climate deal,
mm-hmm.
We lost. The rest of the world won.
Mm.
With Iran, we lost. Iran won. With Cuba, we lost. Cuba won. The 5 people that were traded for the soldier who ran away,
yes,
we lost. They won.
Mm.
So Obama, in his foreign relations, accommodated.
Yeah.
He accommodated. Trump, on the other hand, says, we're going to make America great again. I'm not going to accommodate. We are going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Totally 180-degree turnaround. Then you get to the fifth style, which is fascinating. I mean, absolutely fascinating.
Yep.
Avoidance.
Avoidance.
When do you avoid a conflict? And how do you do it? There are 4 ways to avoid a conflict.
This will be juicy.
Yeah, parents out there, my favorite is broken record. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh yeah.
Broken record. Okay, let's do the broken record with a parent who's got a kid who doesn't come in before curfew. Okay, the kid's got the car.
Mm-hmm.
Curfew's at 12 o'clock. Uh-huh. Comes in at 12:30. Comes in at 12:30. Dad says, "Son or daughter, it's 12:30. You know what the curfew is?" "Oh, Dad, I ran into this. We had this really..."
Yeah.
"Son, curfew's at 12 o'clock. "I know, but I really had..." Son, curfew's 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
"Dad, you don't understand." "Son, curfew's 12 o'clock.
Pester power.
No matter what the kid comes up with, Dad says curfew's 12 o'clock. The dad does not get sucked in, because once the dad opens it up and says, "Well, what do you mean?" Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we got the big dialogue, okay?
You're bored into it.
Broken record is always reasserting the rule, the norm, and not getting sucked into all the excuses, because as a principal and as a superintendent, I used the broken record a lot because I knew what the rules were.
Yep.
And they had all kinds of excuses for why they did what they did, why they didn't obey the rules, and you would broken record it.
So it sounds like something you could definitely apply to business in terms of policy. This is our policy.
Amen.
Let's not deviate from this. This is why it's in writing. So yeah, I just often try and tie it back a little bit, if you don't mind, to the business sector. And I think there's some real gold here for everybody from just a general life perspective, a business perspective, a parenting perspective. And you know, this is turning out to be an amazing call. Keep going.
Yeah, when the standards aren't being met by the business, you just reinforce the standards. The standard is this. You must. The product has to comply with the standard.
Yep.
And you just broken record it. You don't accept anything an inferior product.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. My second favorite is what I call fogging.
Fogging.
Okay.
Fogging, you said.
Fogging.
Okay.
I don't know where I came up with this word. I attended a conflict management training back in the early 80s, and they came up with fogging, and where they got it, I have no clue.
Okay.
But let's say somebody says something to you that's insulting. I'm looking at you right now, Rick, and I'm seeing this blue and white striped tie, and I'm saying, "Rick, that tie does not look very good on you. It doesn't complement your colors." Now, if you were to fog that, you would say, "Well, you could say that."
Yeah, and that'd be it.
That would be it.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't get sucked into it.
Or I could buy into it.
Yeah, you don't buy into it.
What's wrong with my blue tie, Clayt?
Yeah, and now if you say, "What's wrong with my bloody tie?" Now we go, right?
Yep, yep.
Whereas if you say, "Yeah, you could say that." Most people who look at me say, "Man, you got a big nose," and I'd say, "Yeah, you're right. Probably do." So fogging never agrees with the insult or the conflict or the attempt to get you into something. It just says, "Well, that might be true. That is possible. You could say that. You just never agree with it." This is chapter 2 in my second book.
Yeah, I mean, just before we go any further, I really wanted to. What are the name of your 2 books? Because what we do is we normally write a post up, and we'll put this interview up on that. What are the names of the 2 books?
Well, book number one is School Culture and Climate vis-a-vis student learning,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all about human relations
Mm-hmm.
and what goes on in a school. The same things that apply in a school would apply in a business.
Yep.
It's called servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
We think about leaders, servant leadership versus self-serving leadership.
Mm.
Most leaders come across as self-serving. You agree?
I just, for some reason, think Donald Trump when you said that. I don't know why, but he comes across to me as self-serving.
The reason it's amazing that you said that, because many people perceive him as self-serving.
Mm.
When in fact, if everything he says is true, I want to make America great again, he is servant leader. He is there to serve the people.
Mm.
But he doesn't come across that way.
No, he doesn't, does he? Doesn't cut that jib.
No. And the crazy thing is, many leaders do not come across as servant leaders. Why? Because if you ask them, what is your role? And that would be, I'm here to serve the organization and the people. Wouldn't you? They would say that, right?
Mm. Mm. That would make it obvious.
I have asked thousands of principals, what is your role?
Mm.
I'm here to serve the teachers and the students. I go to the students and I say, is your principal here to serve your needs? And they would say,
Really?
no.
There's a mismatch.
Many people come across this. Here's a technique I've used, and I was going to, if I ever get to talk to Donald Trump, I will share this with him about his role with the news media, okay? The news media. The news media would say Donald Trump is self-serving. Wouldn't you say that?
I would, based on evidence.
He's certainly not there to serve them, right?
Mm.
He's there to fight them.
Yep.
He does it every day, with his tweets.
Yep.
Okay, what if he called a conference with the news media, and this is what I've done as a school superintendent. This is what I advise my students to do. Mm-hmm. I say, on your first day or sometime during your tenure with your faculty, I want you to ask them, what do you expect of me as your leader, as your superintendent, as your principal, as your president, okay? Mm-hmm. So Trump invites all of the media into a social, okay? He gives them each 3x5 cards, and he says to them, look, guys, my relationship with the media is the pits. I really would like to fix that. Tell you what, here's 3x5 cards, 3 of them. If you want more, you can have them. Tell me what you expect of me as your president in relation to the media. You want us to tell you what we expect? Yeah, I want to know what you expect. I'm your president. What do you expect of me? How am I supposed to relate to you guys? Mm-hmm. Here's 3. Tell me, because I really want a better relationship with the media. So we go from self-serving to servant leadership. I'm here to serve the media and the people. I want a relationship with you guys. I'm listening to you. I trust you. I'm open to you. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you think. Okay? And I think it would change.
It's a complete 180.
Yeah. Well, when I was school superintendent, I did that with the teachers. I said, what do you expect of me as your superintendent? Then I asked the principals to go back to their faculty. What do you expect of me as your principal? Then I asked the teachers to go back to the kids in the classroom. Hey, guys, what do you expect of me as your teacher? Servant leadership. How do you get people to trust you, to be open to you, to know that you care about them, that you are there to serve their needs? And that's one of the ways to do that.
Can I just interject? I see this from a business perspective. I think about, it's almost akin to the business asking the customer, what is it that I can do better? or
Yeah.
or their team. What can I do better to serve you? It seems very similar to customer focus.
Let me give you the next suggestion on that one.
Okay.
I call it getting feedback. How do you get good feedback? What you just said from your customers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get good feedback? Okay, it's called force field analysis. It goes back to 1957. I think Kurt Lewin, Lewin,
Mm-hmm.
very sophisticated. This is not sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking his sophisticated system and simplifying it.
Yep.
I go to the customer, or I go to the teachers if I'm the principal, or I go to the kids if I'm the teacher.
Yep.
Or I go to the members of the church if I'm the preacher. I go to the faculty if I'm the counselor, and I say, okay, this is what I did when I was a teacher. I went to the kids and I said, Mr. Bullock is a good teacher because, complete that sentence as many times as you want.
Mm.
And they said, you want us to tell you what we think? I said, yeah, I want to know. And here's the second sentence. Mr. Bullock would be a better teacher if, complete that sentence as many times as you want. And I said, when you get finished with your sentences, give them to Joan over there. I'm going to be leaving the room until you're finished. Give me the high sign when you guys are all finished, and I'll come back in, because I want you to feel free to put down on this what you really think of what I'm good at and what I could be better at.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get good feedback? It's very difficult to do.
Yeah, rather than a biased sort of feedback that's not coming from a pure place, I guess.
Yeah, most of the time when people give you feedback, they're either buttering you up or want something.
Yeah, or the person or the people who get asked are those who are, satisfied, let's quote unquote satisfied customers previously. So it sort of skews the data on the feedback, doesn't it?
Yeah. So force field analysis is in book number 1,
mm-hmm.
in chapter 2, but you don't really need to get two. You just got 2 sentences. You can change the sentences any way you want.
Mm-hmm.
Is a good minister because, would be a better minister if. The product is good because, the product would be better if. You can change that sentence anytime you want,
mm-hmm.
any way you want, and you get good feedback from people. I get these surveys on the internet all the time where you got to raise something from 1 to 10.
Yeah. The Net Promoter Score.
And they go on for 20 items. Whereas if you just had 2 sentences and they said, my stay at Pigeon Forge Cabin was good because,
yep.
My stay would have been better if.
Yep.
We went there with a 5-bedroom condo with all of our kids, 20-some kids and grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me this long survey, and I thought, golly, why don't you just ask me what I liked and what would have been made it better?
Yeah, simplify it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, where would you like to go next?
Now, look, I'd love to go to many different places, but we're knocking on the door of 45 minutes, and I don't think we can keep going, because if we do, there's going to be one long podcast episode, and that's absolutely fine by me. But typically, the rule of thumb is to keep it under an hour. So, could we maybe cover off one more important topic? But before we do that and wrap up for the day, Clayt, where can people find your book? Is it on any websites?
It's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, I'll find some links to that, put them in the interview below. So I'm looking at this breakdown. Might I just say, I've been reading through your history and your dissertations and things like this. For those who are listening and wondering, well, who's Clayton? Why should you listen to him? I definitely recommend checking out the links inside this interview to get some, some credibility references, because I am very, very impressed. Associate professor here and there, superintendents, as you've mentioned, and just an earthly, down-to-earth individual to boot. So I've really appreciated the call, and I want to just just cut the call with one last topic that will help businesses to thrive. What would be the one big takeaway in terms of human relations that you would give entrepreneurs that are struggling with their teams? What would you say to them?
Well, my doctoral dissertation was on openness and trust. And openness has two factors. It has a listening and a telling factor. Many business people are weak on the listening factor.
Yep.
So they will tell customers about the product. They will tell them how great it is, and they will tell and tell and tell and tell and tell. And if they would just listen to the customer and say, well, what do you think about this?
Yep.
And open themselves up to the customer, a relationship builds, okay? Then trust is the second factor that's going to determine whether you are a successful businessman or not. Trust is 5 factors. One is ability. How good is your product?
Yep.
What is your data? Okay. Truthfulness is a big factor. Do they believe you're telling the truth? You know, if you're a listener, you'll say, well, what did you think about that?
Yep.
When you tell them something, what did you think about that?
Active listening.
Right. And get them engaged in conversation. So, ability and truthfulness are 2 important business factors, big business factors. The overall character dimension is one that I would call authenticity and caring. When people interact with you, do they think you're genuine? Are you what you say you are? Are you really who you say you are? Do you come across as somebody who is caring? Do you come across as somebody who, will help you?
Yep.
That's the big one. That's the big one. The other 2 trust factors are not related to business, but they are confidentiality with employees. If you're a businessman, if your employees come to you with a problem and they tell you something and you don't keep the confidence, you've blown it.
Yeah, because that'll spread like wildfire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't tell so-and-so that you can't keep your shut. The big one is predictability. When people come to you with a problem as the business leader, how do you react to the problem? If one day you say, wow, I really believe that, I tell you what, I'm going to take this into consideration and I'm going to deal with it. So you go back to them a couple of weeks later and he says, what do you mean? That doesn't sound like a problem at all. I think you need to go back and relook at that. It's probably your problem. So if you're predictable in the way you handle problems, they're going to bring them to you.
Yep.
If you're unpredictable, they are not going to come to you.
Because
trust has 5 factors: truthfulness, ability, and overall character, predictability, and confidentiality. There's a survey on my website that measures openness and trust.
Okay.
All of my surveys, there are 6 of them on my website. They're all free. Anybody out there can send me an email and say, send me the openness and trust survey.
Yep.
Okay. And I will send it to them.
Look, is that the Westgate, WESTGA website?
Right.
Okay. Would that be okay if I made that available?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Everything on my website's free.
Okay. Well, look, mate, I'm just so enlightened and just refreshed to have a down-to-earth conversation about, just human relationships. They are the core of the earth that we live on, and yet they're played down a lot. They're not given the level of urgency and importance that they should be given, be it as parents, business owners, intermediaries. It doesn't matter who you are. If you've got 2 feet and a heartbeat, this all applies to you. So, Clayton, you're a fantastic gentleman, a kind heart, and I thank you for coming on the show and spending some time with us today.
I appreciate interacting with you, Rick.
Thank you. All right. Well, look, everybody, again, go look down behind the links and touch base with Clayton. I'm sure he would love to hear from you, and we will speak with you again soon.
Thank you, Rick.